Scientists, they might be hiding something incredible beneath them.
Revelation 9:14 tells us of 4 angels bound at the great river Euphrates, set to be released to bring judgment in the last days. But what if that prophecy is now being fulfilled? Archaeologists and spiritual researchers have uncovered strange humanoid figures, massive, chained, and eerily aligned with Scripture. Could this be the moment the Bible has warned us about for thousands of years? Let's dive into the mystery and the message behind it. For thousands of years, the Euphrates River has flowed strong and mighty, one of the most historically and biblically significant rivers on earth. It watered Eden. It supported Babylon. It was a cradle of civilization. But now, satellite images and on-site videos reveal a haunting reality. The great river is vanishing. Climate change, damming, and divine timing have converged. Exposed riverbeds reveal ancient structures, tombs, bones, and something else entirely. Prophecy is coming into view, and what's being revealed may change everything we thought we knew. Hold on a second. Tap that like button, drop a comment below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. All right, let's keep going. Before any bones or artifacts were found, there was sound. It began with whispers, then with fear. Locals living along the banks of the Euphrates River, particularly in remote areas of Syria and Iraq, began reporting strange sounds. At first, it was dismissed as rumor or folklore, but then came the recordings. What was captured sent chills down the spines of anyone who listened. Some described it as a groan, long and painful, like the earth itself was weeping. Others said it was a shriek, stretching for minutes at a time, not from above or around, but from beneath the surface. Local elders said it reminded them of ancient tales, stories of creatures that once roamed freely before being bound by divine command. Some even said it resembled the cry of a satyr or vampire from old regional myths, half-beast with twisted origins, exiled beneath the earth. But for those familiar with the Word of God, the conclusion was far more serious. Could this be the sound of the fallen angels spoken of in the book of Jude 1:6? The very ones who did not keep their proper domain but left their abode? Could this be the first audible evidence of the prophecy in Revelation 9, which foretells 4 angels bound beneath the Euphrates, waiting for the appointed hour to be released? Is it possible that they are awakening, groaning, preparing? The Euphrates has always been a river of prophecy, tied to Eden, Babylon, and the final judgments of Revelation. And now, as its waters vanish, it seems to be revealing what was hidden for millennia. This is no ordinary noise. This is not a coincidence. This is a warning. Keep watching, because what they discovered next will shake your understanding of good, evil in the ancient world forever. As the Euphrates River continued to dry, exposing its long-hidden secrets, researchers stumbled upon something that stopped them in their tracks. A massive stone structure buried deep beneath layers of sediment and time. It wasn't a ruin, it wasn't a temple, it was a tomb, but not just any tomb. This burial chamber was unlike anything previously discovered in Mesopotamia. The stones used to construct it were carved with precision and fitted tightly together, yet aged beyond comparison. The entrance was sealed by an enormous slab covered in cuneiform inscriptions and what appeared to be protective seals, long since worn but faintly visible. Inside, the find was even more chilling, a giant skeleton. The bones were enormous, clearly not human by any known standard. The skull was elongated, with a cranial structure suggesting immense brain capacity or a non-human origin. The femurs and arms stretched over twice the length of an average man's. Some scientists theorize that if the being had lived, it would have stood at least 15 feet tall. Even more chilling were the inscriptions etched on the inner tomb walls, written in ancient Akkadian, "Bound sons of heaven, let none awaken them before their time. The watchers wait beneath the dust." These phrases echo directly with Genesis 6:4, where we are told of the Nephilim, the offspring of fallen angels and human women. giants of renown. Many believe these hybrid beings were destroyed in the flood, while others claim some were imprisoned, awaiting final judgment. Could this tomb be the resting place, or worse, the prison of a Nephilim? Don't go anywhere, because what they found near this tomb connects directly to Satan himself. The Euphrates River, once a powerful and life-giving river, has mysteriously dried up. What's been discovered beneath its riverbed is beyond belief. Is this gold? Why is gold? Could this be connected to the legendary land of Havilah? Even more chilling, some believe there is one thing was used to bind the four fallen angels mentioned in Revelation. And with a recent blood moon aligning with these events, is this a direct warning from God? Could we be witnessing the final signs before Jesus' return? Join us as we reveal the chilling truth behind these discoveries and what they could mean for the end times. In recent years, the Euphrates has been drying up at an alarming rate, but after the river gradually disappeared, it revealed horrifying things. As the Euphrates River has continued to dry up, a series of astonishing discoveries have been made, none more captivating than the appearance of gold beneath the riverbed. Once the powerful current of the Euphrates receded, revealing the ancient riverbed, local villagers and treasure hunters began uncovering what appeared to be large deposits of gold. Reports started surfacing of gold coins, gold dust, and even ancient gold artifacts scattered beneath the dried riverbed. Initially, many believed it was a hoax or a case of mistaken identity, but as more discoveries were made, it became clear that the Euphrates was hiding something extraordinary. The gold wasn't just found in small amounts. Entire clusters of gold artifacts and deposits of gold dust were discovered in the riverbed. The sheer quantity of gold suggested that it may have been buried or hidden there intentionally. Videos and testimonies from the region described locals flocking to the riverbanks, sifting through the sand and mud, and walking away with handfuls of gold. Some found ancient coins with Babylonian and Assyrian symbols, while others uncovered gold jewelry, decorative items, and even what appeared to be parts of ancient temple furnishings. Archaeologists and historians were stunned. How could so much gold have ended up beneath the Euphrates? And why was it appearing now, just as the river began drying up for the first time in recorded history? The discovery of gold beneath the Euphrates raises deep and unsettling questions, especially when viewed through the lens of biblical prophecy and ancient history. Hold on a second. Tap that like button, drop a comment below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. All right, let's keep going. Why gold? Gold has always held a powerful significance in human history and biblical tradition. Throughout the Bible and ancient texts, gold is portrayed as a symbol of wealth. Nations and kings measured their strength and power based on their possession of gold. Divine favor. Gold was often used to construct sacred objects and places of worship, signifying purity and holiness. Judgment and corruption. Gold is also tied to idolatry and human greed, leading to God's judgment upon sinful nations. The presence of gold beneath the Euphrates raises profound questions. Was this gold hidden by ancient civilizations? The region around the Euphrates River was home to some of the most powerful and wealthy civilizations in history, including the Sumerians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. Babylon was renowned for its wealth and decadence. The city's palaces, temples, and walls were adorned with gold. Historical records describe Babylon's treasuries filled with gold coins, ornaments, and idols. The Ishtar Gate, one of the entrances to Babylon, was lined with gold and precious stones. Could the gold beneath the Euphrates be part of Babylon's lost treasure? When the Persians conquered Babylon in 539 BCE, much of the city's wealth was looted or hidden. Some historians believe that Babylon's priests and nobles may have hidden gold beneath the river or in underground chambers to protect it from invaders. The Euphrates itself flowed through the center of Babylon, making it an ideal location for concealing treasure. Is this gold connected to the legendary land of Havilah? Another theory points to the ancient and mysterious land of Havilah, mentioned in Genesis 2. A river flowed out of Eden to water the garden, and there it divided and became 4 rivers. The name of the first is the Pishon. It flows around the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. Genesis 2, 10-12. Havilah was known as a land rich in gold, bdellium, a precious resin, and onyx. Where was Havilah? The exact location of Havilah is unknown, but several theories suggest that it could have been located near the Euphrates. Some scholars believe Havilah was located in modern-day Saudi Arabia or southern Iraq. Others place Havilah near the confluence of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, a region known for ancient trade routes and mining activity. A few theories suggest that Havilah may have been a metaphorical location tied to the wealth and abundance of Mesopotamia. If the gold beneath the Euphrates is from Havilah, it would provide direct confirmation of the biblical account of creation and human origins. The discovery of gold could signify that God's original plan for humanity, a plan of abundance and divine blessing, is being revealed once again. Or it could signify the final phase of human history, when the riches of the earth are exposed before God's final judgment. The discovery of gold beneath the Euphrates could also be a symbol of impending judgment. In Daniel 2, the statue representing human empires had a head of gold, symbolizing both wealth and corruption. The book of Revelation describes the merchants of the earth mourning the fall of Babylon because of the loss of their gold and riches. Revelation 18:11-17. If the gold beneath the Euphrates is linked to Babylon or Havilah, it could represent God's final judgment upon human pride and greed. Babylon's gold symbolized wealth gained through exploitation and idolatry. Havilah's gold symbolized God's provision and abundance in the Garden of Eden. The fact that gold is now being revealed beneath the Euphrates could symbolize the final reckoning between God's divine order and humanity's sinful corruption. Adding to the mystery, a blood moon appeared shortly after the Euphrates began drying up and gold was discovered. The Bible mentions blood moons as a prophetic sign of the end times. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord. Joel 2:31. Blood moons have often been linked to major spiritual events or changes in history. The fact that a blood moon appeared while the Euphrates is drying up and gold is being discovered strongly suggests that these events are interconnected and divinely ordained. One of the most mysterious and chilling discoveries beneath the Euphrates River is the unearthing of a massive ancient chain, thick, corroded, and partially buried beneath the riverbed. This chain was not only massive in size, but also extraordinarily heavy and made from an unknown alloy of metal. Its sheer size and strength suggests that it wasn't created for ordinary use. It was forged to withstand immense pressure and resist powerful forces. The discovery has left archaeologists, historians, and biblical scholars stunned and searching for answers. The chain was first spotted by local villagers who were searching for gold in the newly exposed riverbed. Reports described a large metallic structure partially protruding from the muddy floor of the dried river. Upon closer inspection, they realized that it was a series of massive interlinked rings, each one wider than the length of a human arm. The chain appeared ancient, corroded by centuries of exposure to water and sediment, yet remarkably intact considering its age. As archaeologists began to investigate, they discovered that the chain extended deep beneath the riverbed. Excavation teams were only able to uncover a portion of it, but initial estimates suggest that the entire chain could stretch for hundreds of feet, possibly forming a complete enclosure or anchoring system beneath the river. What's even more mysterious is that the chain was locked, with a clasp or binding mechanism that seemed to have been forged with extreme precision. This raised an unsettling question. Was this chain designed to restrain or imprison something beneath the Euphrates? Why is there a chain in the Euphrates River? The size, strength, and design of the chain suggests that it was not intended for common use. It wasn't created to hold a ship or secure a building. It was clearly designed to restrain something powerful. The scale of the chain raises several unsettling questions. Could this chain have been used to bind the four fallen angels mentioned in Revelation? One of the most chilling prophecies in the Bible involves the release of the four fallen angels, who are said to be bound beneath the Euphrates River. In Revelation 9:14-15, the Bible describes an angel being commanded to release the four angels who had been bound beneath the river, saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, "Release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." So the four angels, who had been prepared for the hour and the day, and the month and the year, were released to kill a third of mankind. Could the chain be holding the four fallen angels? The book of Revelation suggests that these angels are not just ordinary beings. They are incredibly powerful entities whose release will trigger catastrophic judgment upon the earth. The fact that they were bound beneath the Euphrates indicates that they were imprisoned there for a specific purpose and time. If the massive chain is part of their binding mechanism, then the drying up of the Euphrates could be setting the stage for their imminent release. The description of the chain's size and strength matches the idea that it would have been needed to hold back powerful spiritual beings. This raises the terrifying possibility that the chain was placed there thousands of years ago by divine command, perhaps by an angel or even by God himself, to prevent the fallen angels from being released until the appointed time. Was it connected to the Nephilim, the race of giants mentioned in Genesis 6? The Nephilim were described as giants and mighty warriors, born from the union of fallen angels and human women. The Bible teaches that God judged the Nephilim and destroyed most of them during the flood of Noah, Genesis 7. However, some ancient texts, such as the Book of Enoch, suggest that certain Nephilim may have been bound beneath the earth as part of God's judgment. The chain's size and strength suggest that it could have been used to bind a physical being, possibly a surviving Nephilim or a powerful spiritual entity. Some scholars have theorized that the Nephilim could have been imprisoned beneath the Euphrates as part of God's judgment on humanity's rebellion. If the chain was used to hold back the Nephilim, its release could signal the return of these ancient giants as part of the final judgment. The Euphrates region has a long history of ancient religious and spiritual practices. The Babylonians and Assyrians believed that the Euphrates was a sacred boundary between the physical and spiritual worlds. Some ancient Mesopotamian texts describe the use of chains, amulets, and magical symbols to bind or control spiritual forces. The fact that the chain was buried beneath the Euphrates suggests that it may have been part of a large-scale ancient ritual. It could have been used to seal a gate or portal between the spiritual and physical realms. The chain may have been linked to the imprisonment of spiritual entities, such as the fallen angels or other demonic beings. Interestingly, the Bible also speaks of spiritual gates being opened in the last days. Lift up your heads, you gates, be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Psalm 24:7. Could the discovery of the chain beneath the Euphrates be part of the unsealing of a spiritual gate or portal? Could this signal that God is preparing to release judgment upon the earth, or that evil forces are preparing to rise in opposition to Christ's return? How old is the chain? Dating the chain has proven difficult due to its corroded condition and unknown metal composition. Initial testing suggests that the chain could be over 2,500 years old, placing its origin during the time of the Babylonian Empire. However, some archaeologists believe that the chain may be much older, possibly dating back to the early Mesopotamian period, around 3000 BCE. The metallurgical composition of the chain does not match any known ancient metalwork, suggesting that it may have been forged using lost or supernatural techniques. Could this be a sign that the four angels are about to be released? The fact that the chain has been uncovered now, at the same time that the Euphrates River is drying up, points to a direct connection to biblical prophecy. The drying of the Euphrates was prophesied to happen before the release of the four angels. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. Revelation 16:12. If the chain was used to bind the four fallen angels, its exposure could be a sign that the appointed time for their release is near. Revelation states that the release of the four angels will trigger the death of 1/3 of humanity, suggesting that their release will bring war, plague, and destruction. A warning from God. The discovery of the chain beneath the Euphrates River has many wondering if it is more than an archaeological find. Is it a direct warning from God? When considered alongside other recent global events and prophetic signs, the excavation of the chain seems to fit perfectly with the Bible's description of the end times. The drying up of the Euphrates River, the discovery of gold, the appearance of blood moons, and the increase in wars and natural disasters all mirror the very events that Jesus and the prophets warned about. Throughout the Bible, God used physical signs and supernatural events to warn his people. In the days of Noah, God warned humanity through the building of the ark in the gathering of animals. Genesis 6. Before the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, God sent angels to warn Lot and his family. Genesis 19. In Moses' time, God sent 10 plagues on Egypt to demonstrate his power and prompt Pharaoh to release the Israelites. Exodus 7 through 12. But in each of these cases, the warning signs were not just physical events. They were spiritual calls to repentance and preparation. Could the discovery of the chain beneath the Euphrates River be a similar call to humanity in these last days? Is God signaling that the appointed time of judgment is near? Let's explore how the discovery of the chain fits into specific prophetic warnings described in the Bible. Jesus warned that the increase in war would be accompanied by political instability and the collapse of governments. This is exactly what we are seeing today. Many nations are on the brink of collapse, with governments struggling to maintain order. Is the chain a sign of impending war? The drying up of the Euphrates River is described in Revelation 16:12 as a preparation for the kings of the East, a mighty military force that will march on Israel for the final battle at Armageddon. The chain could represent the spiritual restraint that has prevented this final conflict from ever beginning. Its exposure could signal that God's divine protection is being lost, paving the way for a catastrophic global conflict. Jesus also predicted that natural disasters would increase in frequency and intensity before his return. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Matthew 24:7. Why the Euphrates River? In biblical tradition, the Euphrates River has always symbolized the boundary between order and chaos. When the river is full and flowing, it symbolizes God's provision and protection. The drying up of the river, along with the revealing of the chain, may symbolize God's removal of control over nature. The Bible teaches that final judgment will be accompanied by natural disasters, including earthquakes, plagues, and the darkening of the sun and moon. Revelation 6:12-14. Does the revealing of the chain signal that the final process of creation has begun? Does the chain represent God's restraint on evil? The discovery of the chain beneath the Euphrates River could represent the spiritual restraint that God has placed on the forces of evil. In 2 Thessalonians 2:7, Paul describes a restraint that holds back the Antichrist and the full power of Satan. For the mystery of lawlessness has already begun. Only the one who now restrains it can hold it back until it is removed. If the chain is part of the mechanism that bound the four fallen angels, its exposure could mean that the period of restraint is coming to an end, allowing the full power of evil to be unleashed on the earth. Jesus warned that in the last days many false prophets would arise and deceive people, and many false prophets will arise and deceive many. Matthew 24:11. The rise of New Age spirituality and occult activities, celebrities and influencers promoting demonic imagery and symbols, the normalization of satanic rituals in entertainment and music, the growing number of self-proclaimed messiahs and cult leaders. The discovery of the chain beneath the Euphrates River may symbolize the unsealing of the spiritual realm, preparing for the rise of the Antichrist and the false prophet described in Revelation. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against the rider on the horse and against his army. Revelation 19:19. If the chain is part of a mechanism to stop the Antichrist or other spiritual forces, its exposure may indicate that the time for global deception and rebellion is approaching. Is the chain a direct signal from God? The connection between these events suggests that the discovery of the chain of stones beneath the Euphrates River was no coincidence. It was a divinely calculated and timed signal. The discovery of the chain of stones after the river began to dry up, a direct match to Revelation 16. The appearance of the blood moon at the same time reinforces the connection to Joel 2 and Revelation 6. The increase in wars, natural disasters, and moral decay fits with the warnings of Jesus and his disciples. Is God preparing to release the four angels and begin the final judgment described in the book of Revelation? Countdown to the end? If the discovery of the chain beneath the Euphrates River is indeed a direct signal from God, it would mean that we are now living in the final countdown to Christ's return. The removal of God's restraints on evil could cause the rise of the Antichrist. The release of the four angels could lead to global war and catastrophic destruction. The revealing of the chain could mean that the final battle between good and evil is about to begin. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next video.
I think I found a dinosaur. Those were the words of Joe Davis, who works at Rutland Water Nature Reserve.
The sword is remarkably well preserved.
The book of Revelation warns of the Euphrates River drying up, and this is signaling world-changing events. Once this thought to be symbolic, this prophecy now feels eerily real. A shocking discovery beneath its waters has left scientists baffled and believers alarmed. Could this be proof of God's hand at work? The Bible links the Euphrates to fallen angels and the rise of the Antichrist. Is this the final warning? Join us as we uncover the truth behind this chilling revelation and its connection to the return of Christ. The Euphrates River is drying up at an alarming rate. The dwindling waters of the Euphrates have revealed hidden secrets buried beneath its depths, secrets that may have remained hidden for thousands of years. As researchers explored the exposed riverbed of the drying Euphrates River, they stumbled upon a shocking discovery, an enormous skeletal structure resembling that of a colossal serpent. The sheer size and length of the bones defied all known species, leading to immediate speculation about its origins. Some scientists theorize that it could be the remains of a prehistoric species yet to be identified, while others question whether it belongs to a long-extinct giant serpent from an era long forgotten. However, not all scholars believe this discovery is merely a scientific anomaly. Some religious historians and theologians see this as a sign, perhaps a manifestation of ancient biblical warnings. Could this be a remnant of the great creatures mentioned in ancient texts? Or does it point to something even more unsettling, a connection to the forces of darkness? One theory suggests that this could be the preserved remains of an ancient species that thrived thousands of years ago when the Euphrates was a much different environment. Nevertheless, another more alarming theory ties this discovery to biblical prophecy. Snakes have long been associated with deception, evil, and chaos, symbolizing the presence of dark forces. The book of Genesis describes the serpent as the instrument of Satan in the Garden of Eden. The book of Revelation warns of the great dragon, Satan himself, who will deceive nations. Could this serpent's remains be a direct sign pointing toward prophetic fulfillment? The drying of the Euphrates has already been linked to the end times by many biblical scholars, and now, with this eerie discovery, some fear that something even more sinister is unfolding before our eyes. Is this a warning from heaven? Why did the skeleton of a giant snake appear in the Euphrates River? The presence of this colossal serpent skeleton raises numerous questions. If this were simply an ancient species, why has no record of such a creature ever been found before? Some biblical scholars suggest that this may not be a coincidence. The Euphrates River has long been associated with divine intervention and judgment, and the sudden appearance of such a mysterious skeleton could be a sign from God, one that demands our attention. Hold on a second. Tap that like button, drop a comment below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. All right, let's keep going. Snakes in the Bible. Throughout the Bible, serpents have played a crucial role in representing deception, sin, divine punishment, and even spiritual warfare. From the Garden of Eden to the apocalyptic visions in Revelation, snakes have been tied to the forces of evil and chaos. The discovery of a giant serpent skeleton in the Euphrates River may hold deeper symbolic significance, perhaps even pointing to ancient battles between divine and fallen beings. The most infamous biblical reference to a serpent comes from Genesis. Satan took the form of a serpent to deceive Eve, leading to the fall of humanity. Genesis 3:1-5. This moment marked the introduction of sin and death into the world, showing how the serpent was an agent of deception, working against God's divine order. The snake was cursed by God, doomed to crawl on its belly as a sign of eternal humiliation. Genesis 3:14. If the skeletal remains discovered in the Euphrates truly belong to an ancient, colossal serpent, could it serve as a reminder of the original deception, an echo of the first rebellion against God? Snakes also appear in the time of Moses. In Numbers 21:6-9, After the Israelites rebelled against God, he sent venomous serpents as a form of divine judgment. Many perished, but those who looked upon the bronze serpent Moses lifted on a pole were healed. This paradoxical symbol, the serpent as both punishment and salvation, foreshadowed the coming of Christ, who would be lifted up to redeem humanity. However, the most chilling connection between snakes and biblical prophecy comes in Revelation, where Satan is described as the great dragon, that ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. Revelation 12:9. Here the serpent evolves into a dragon, a fearsome entity associated with end times deception, chaos, and destruction. Now let's move on to another discovery on the other side of the Euphrates River to see how this river connects to the Bible. As the riverbed continues to dry, locals stumbled upon an ancient, corroded sword buried beneath the silt and rocks of the Euphrates. The sword, covered in rust and centuries of sediment, appeared to be massive in size compared to ordinary weapons of the past. Archaeologists and historians are baffled by the discovery, as the weapon does not match the typical designs of swords found in the region. However, it didn't take long for whispers and theories to begin circulating among the people. Could this be the legendary sword of Goliath? As the story of the discovery spread beyond the immediate region, biblical scholars and religious researchers became deeply intrigued. The details of the sword's massive size, its unexpected location, and its mysterious composition fueled intense speculation that it could be linked to one of the most famous battles in biblical history, the legendary duel between David and Goliath. According to 1 Samuel 17:45-51, Goliath was a towering Philistine warrior, a giant who terrorized the armies of Israel. He challenged them to send a single man to fight him in one-on-one combat. While King Saul and his warriors were filled with fear, a young shepherd named David stepped forward, armed only with a sling and 5 smooth stones. Declaring that he fought in the name of the Lord, David launched a stone that struck Goliath squarely on the forehead, knocking him to the ground. However, David didn't stop there. He rushed forward, took Goliath's own massive sword, and beheaded him, securing a miraculous victory for Israel. How could Goliath's sword end up in the Euphrates? If this truly is Goliath's legendary sword, how did it find its way to the Euphrates River, so far from the land of Israel? Several theories have emerged, attempting to explain this mystery. Lost in ancient battles. The Euphrates was a critical geographic feature in the ancient world, with many civilizations battling for control of its fertile lands. It is possible that the sword was taken as war loot and later lost during battle, sinking into the riverbed over time. There is another theory, the sword taken by exiled Israelites. When the Babylonians conquered Jerusalem and destroyed Solomon's temple, they looted many sacred relics. Some believe that Goliath's sword was among these treasures and was transported eastward, where it was eventually discarded, buried, or forgotten. Another theory suggests that Israelite priests or warriors, fearing the destruction of their relics, hid the sword in a secret location, possibly near the Euphrates. Over centuries, shifting landscapes and floods could have buried it beneath the river, waiting to be uncovered in due time. Some believe that the sword's discovery at this particular moment is not a coincidence, but rather a sign from God. The Euphrates River is drying up, a prophecy foretold in Revelation 16:12, and this discovery could be part of a divine unfolding of events leading to the end times. The original of Goliath. Goliath was not an ordinary man. Described in 1 Samuel 17:4, he stood over 9 feet tall and was considered a fearsome warrior of the Philistines. His immense size and strength have led many to believe that he was not fully human, but rather a descendant of the Nephilim. The Nephilim are one of the most mysterious and controversial beings mentioned in the Bible, often linked to the presence of fallen angels and their interference in human affairs. Their origins can be traced back to Genesis 6:4, which states, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." Genesis 6:4 NIV. This passage has puzzled theologians and historians for centuries. Who were these sons of God? Why did their union with human women produce beings described as mighty, powerful, and different from normal humans. Many biblical scholars believe that these sons of God were fallen angels, spiritual beings who rebelled against God and corrupted the earth by taking human wives and producing offspring known as the Nephilim. These hybrid beings were not just ordinary humans. They were said to be giants, possessing immense strength, intelligence, and influence. The Bible refers to them as heroes of old, men of renown, suggesting that they played a significant role in the ancient world. However, rather than being noble warriors, they were often associated with corruption, destruction, and wickedness. Some scholars argue that their very existence tainted human bloodlines, which is why God brought about the Great Flood, to wipe them out and restore humanity to its intended purity. Could Goliath be a descendant of the Nephilim? The story of Goliath, the towering Philistine warrior defeated by David, is one of the most famous biblical accounts of giant beings. His abnormal size and strength set him apart from ordinary men, leading many to question his origins. Was Goliath merely a naturally large man, or was he something more? Some biblical researchers believe that Goliath was a direct descendant of the Nephilim, a remnant of the corrupt bloodline left behind after the flood. This theory is supported by additional biblical references to other giants that existed long after Noah's time. For example, in Numbers 13:33, when the Israelite spies scouted the Promised Land, they reported seeing giants. "We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." Numbers 13:33 NIV. These giants, known as the Anakim, were believed to be descendants of the Nephilim. The Bible later describes David and his men fighting against more giants from Goliath's lineage in 2 Samuel 21:15-22, further reinforcing the belief that the Nephilim bloodline persisted long after the flood. The fallen angels and their connection to the Euphrates River. If Goliath was indeed a Nephilim, and his sword has now been discovered in the Euphrates River, could there be a deeper spiritual significance to this location? Is it possible that the very river tied to demonic imprisonment and judgment is now revealing long-hidden secrets that align with biblical prophecy? The Euphrates River is one of the most important rivers mentioned in the Bible, often linked to God's judgment, destruction, and supernatural events. From the earliest accounts in Genesis to the apocalyptic visions of Revelation, this river has been associated with powerful divine interventions. In the book of Revelation, we find one of the most chilling prophecies about the Euphrates, one that speaks of 4 fallen angels bound beneath its waters, awaiting their time of release. It said to the 6th angel who had the trumpet, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." And the 4 angels who had been kept ready for this very hour and day and month and year were released to kill a third of mankind. Revelation 9:14-15 NIV. This passage describes a terrifying event, a time when 4 fallen angels will be set loose upon the world, bringing death and devastation on an unprecedented scale. These powerful entities, once part of God's divine order, rebelled against him and were imprisoned beneath the Euphrates. The fact that they remain bound until a specific moment in history suggests that their release will be part of God's prophetic timeline. The discovery of a massive sword, possibly belonging to Goliath, within the Euphrates raises important spiritual questions. Is it simply an ancient artifact, or is it a sign of something greater? Could it be connected to the fallen angels bound beneath the river? If the Nephilim were the offspring of fallen angels, and their bloodline persisted through giants like Goliath, could this discovery be evidence of their existence? More importantly, does it indicate that we are approaching the time of their release? Do you remember the giant snake skeleton we mentioned above? And could this giant snake skeleton be linked to the fallen angels bound beneath the Euphrates? In Revelation 9:14-15, the Bible speaks of 4 angels imprisoned in the river, awaiting their release to unleash devastation upon the world. Some believe these fallen angels, possibly the watchers mentioned in the book of Enoch, once roamed the earth, corrupting humanity and introducing dark knowledge, including sorcery and genetic manipulation. Ancient texts and legends speak of beings that tampered with creation, giving rise to unnatural creatures. The Nephilim, the offspring of fallen angels and human women, Genesis 6:1-4, were described as giants, Could other monstrous creatures like enormous serpents have also existed in that era? If fallen angels once roamed the earth, creating abominations and perverting God's creation, could the skeletal remains found in the Euphrates be a relic of their influence? The timing of this discovery, alongside the drying up of the river, only deepens the mystery. Prophecies indicate that when the Euphrates dries up, major events will unfold, including the release of bound supernatural entities and the preparation for the final battle between good and evil. Could this be a sign that these ancient forces are stirring once more? The Bible has long warned that deception would be a hallmark of the last days. If the serpent was the first deceiver and Satan himself is likened to a great dragon, then the discovery of an enormous serpent skeleton may not be a coincidence. Instead, it could be a harbinger of the coming end-time battles, a chilling reminder that spiritual warfare is unfolding before our eyes. Some believe these fallen angels, known as the Watchers in the Book of Enoch, once roamed the earth before their imprisonment. They were said to have corrupted humanity, imparting forbidden knowledge and possibly tampering with God's creation. The Nephilim, described as giants and hybrids, were among their offspring, Genesis 6:1-4. But could these fallen beings have also created monstrous creatures, such as enormous serpents, as part of their defiance against God? Ancient cultures have long associated serpents with hidden knowledge, power, and rebellion against the divine. In various mythologies, serpents are often linked to supernatural beings, sometimes worshipped as gods and at other times feared as adversaries. Could the massive serpent skeleton found in the Euphrates be a remnant of a lost history, one where fallen angels walked among men and distorted God's creation? A legend of fallen angels in the Euphrates River. Let us elaborate on these angels. Revelation 9:14-15 says, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates, and the 4 angels who were prepared for this hour, day, month, and year were released to kill a third of mankind." These fallen angels, formerly powerful beings in God's divine order, rebelled against him and were cast down. Unlike other fallen angels who roamed the earth freely, these 4 angels were imprisoned for a specific time in history, imprisoned until the final judgment, when they will be released to carry out a mission of destruction. The fact that they were bound to the Euphrates is significant, as the river has often been seen as a dividing line between civilizations, a historical battleground, and the site of major events in the Bible. Now that the Euphrates River has dried up, some believe this could be a prelude to their imminent release. Is the world on the brink of witnessing an apocalyptic event unlike anything it has ever seen before? The angels. The fallen angels of Genesis 6 are said to have descended to earth, taking human women as wives and creating a hybrid race known as the Nephilim, giant beings with supernatural powers. These fallen beings, often referred to as the Watchers in the Book of Enoch, were condemned for corrupting humanity and spreading forbidden knowledge, including war, magic, and the dark arts. Some Bible scholars speculate that the fallen angels bound in the Euphrates may be remnants of this original rebellion, watchers who committed serious crimes and were imprisoned. The discovery of a giant snake skeleton in the Euphrates may be further evidence of their ancient presence. Did these fallen angels ever create monstrous creatures to challenge God? Did their influence lead to the appearance of giant snakes, dragons, or other hideous creatures? If the fallen angels are about to be released, their appearance could lead to widespread chaos, deception, and destruction. Some believe they will manipulate world leaders, stir up global conflict, and help pave the way for the reign of the Antichrist. The Euphrates River is no ordinary body of water. Throughout history, it has been the site of spiritual encounters, divine judgments, and supernatural events. In Revelation 16:12, it is prophesied that the river will dry up to make way for the kings of the east, setting the stage for the Battle of Armageddon. With the water levels in the Euphrates currently at record lows, many believe the stage is being set for these apocalyptic events. Could this be a sign that the time for the release of the fallen angels is near? If so, their return will not be silent. As powerful supernatural beings, they can influence governments, cause wars, and deceive humanity through false miracles. Their purpose, as described in the book of Revelation, is to bring about destruction, resulting in the death of a third of humanity. Are we on the brink of Bible prophecy fulfillment? The world is experiencing turmoil, wars, natural disasters, disease, and economic instability, all of which are consistent with the Bible's warnings about the end of the world. With the Euphrates River drying up, strange discoveries being made, and tensions rising globally, could we be witnessing the gradual fulfillment of the chilling prophecies of the book of Revelation? The Bible tells us that before Jesus returns, the forces of darkness will rise in a final attempt to deceive and control humanity. The Antichrist will emerge as a powerful figure, offering false hope and solutions. Could the release of the 4 fallen angels be the catalyst for this deception? Total lunar eclipse and blood moon, a chilling omen? Adding to the growing sense of unease, a total lunar eclipse, commonly referred to as a blood moon, is set to occur on March 14th. Throughout history, blood moons have been regarded as celestial omens, signaling great upheavals, divine judgment, and supernatural events. Ancient civilizations watched the sky with reverence and fear, believing that such cosmic phenomena carried messages from the heavens. But what makes this particular blood moon even more unnerving is its timing. It aligns eerily with the drying of the Euphrates River, a prophesied event in the book of Revelation, as well as the shocking discovery of a giant serpent skeleton in the riverbed. Could these signs be pointing toward a momentous biblical event? Are we witnessing the alignment of prophecy in real time? The Bible frequently associates blood moons with the end times, judgment, and divine intervention. The prophet Joel explicitly connects the moon turning to blood with the coming of the day of the Lord. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes. Joel 2:31. A similar warning appears in the book of Revelation, describing a terrifying moment when cosmic disturbances signal the breaking of the 6th seal. I watched as he opened the 6th seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned blood red. Revelation 6:12. This passage suggests that a blood moon, combined with earthquakes and other disasters, will precede a period of divine judgment. While skeptics may dismiss lunar eclipses as mere natural occurrences, believers understand that biblical prophecy warns of celestial events as harbingers of greater events to come. Blood moons have often coincided with pivotal moments in biblical history and world events. Some notable examples include 1493 to 1494. A tetrad of blood moons followed the expulsion of Jews from Spain, marking a significant shift in Jewish history. 1949 to 1950. Another series of blood moons occurred around the time of Israel's rebirth as a nation, fulfilling a major biblical prophecy. 1967 to 1968. A blood moon tetrad coincided with the Six-Day War, when Israel recaptured Jerusalem. Could the March 14th blood moon be another link in this prophetic chain? What makes this blood moon even more mysterious is its connection to recent unsettling discoveries. The drying of the Euphrates River, Revelation 16:12, prophesies that the Euphrates will dry up to prepare the way for the kings of the East, a critical event leading to the Battle of Armageddon. Today, reports confirm that the river is shrinking at an unprecedented rate. The discovery of the giant serpent skeleton. In the very river mentioned in Revelation, scientists have stumbled upon the skeletal remains of a massive snake-like creature. Given that the serpent is a symbol of Satan in the Bible, this discovery is deeply unsettling. Fallen angels bound in the Euphrates. Revelation 9:14 to 15 speaks of 4 fallen angels imprisoned in the river, waiting to be released to bring destruction upon the world. Could these celestial signs indicate that their release is drawing near? When considered together, these events paint a startling picture. The drying river, the ancient serpent, and the blood moon all seem to align with biblical warnings about the end times. Many prophecy watchers believe that celestial signs are God's way of sending warnings before major global events. Could this lunar eclipse be a signal that we are on the brink of something catastrophic? A war, an economic collapse, or even the rise of the Antichrist? As the world grows darker, both spiritually and geopolitically, many believe that we are living in the final chapters of biblical prophecy. The Bible warns that before the return of Christ, there will be signs in the heavens, wars and rumors of wars, plagues, and deception. With the Euphrates River drying, the mystery of the serpent skeleton, and the March 14th blood moon all unfolding at the same time, we are left with an urgent question. Are we witnessing a warning from God? And if so, are we ready for what comes next? The Euphrates River is a major water source in Western Asia. This 1,740-mile-long river flows through Syria, Turkey, and Iraq and serves a population of about 60 million people. Unfortunately, this major water source is drying up due to climate change, causing a disastrous effect on the people who rely on it. Some believe the river drying up is a prophecy being fulfilled from the Bible. Specifically, Revelations chapter 16, verse 12 states, "And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared." This verse references the coming of God's rapture. However, there is also a scientific explanation for this phenomenon. The average annual flow of the river has decreased to half its original amount. Based on satellite images, the Euphrates River Basin has lost 34 cubic miles of fresh water from 2003 to 2013, according to IFL Science. According to the Inventory of Shared Water Resources in Western Asia, states people rely on the Euphrates River for fresh drinking water, irrigation, hydroelectric power, and agricultural purposes. The river drying up has threatened the lives of everyday, working people. Syria and Turkey. In northeastern Syria, temperatures have risen by 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit compared to 100 years ago, and the average rainfall has decreased by 18 millimeters per month per century, according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS. Decreased rainfall has also affected Syrian agriculture. Syrian villages have seen a major decrease in crop production, according to the CSIS. Syria's wheat production has dropped by 75% since 2011. Contaminated water and lack of irrigation has also caused farmers to lose their crops. Syrian and Turkish government policies have not aided in the struggle for water. According to Green Matters, these government agencies use the need for water as leverage by withholding it from neighboring nations. The Syrian-Turkish dam along the border is controlled by Turkey. In 1987, Turkey and Syria made an agreement that Syria should get 132,086 gallons of water per second. However, in 2021, Syria accused Turkey of depriving Syrians of their share of water from the Euphrates. In reality, Syria was receiving about 52,834 gallons of water per second. This caused the Aluk water station in northeast Syria to stop generating electricity. Iraq. The Iraqi Ministry of Water Resources estimates that the river will run dry by 2040 due to declining water levels and droughts driven by climate change. According to Al Jazeera, an independent news channel in Qatar, the villages in Al-Ankur, Iraq, are suffering from the decreased access to fresh water. Their only source of water was Habaniya Lake. This lake was 55 square miles long and could hold 4.2 billion cubic yards of water. The land where the lake once stood is now cracked and dry. The people in the villages of Al-Ankur, Iraq, are relying on bottled water to survive. This is causing families to go into debt from buying water. Instead of fishing in the lake to make a living, workers are having to migrate to the closest cities to find manual labor. The civil war in Iraq has severely damaged existing infrastructure and made it even more difficult to build upon it. When ISIS occupied parts of the region, many families were displaced. When these families were able to return, water resources were scarce, causing these families to be displaced again, according to Al Jazeera. Hussein Sobi, a Baghdad-based environmental activist, believes that Iraq needs a strong negotiation strategy to improve Iraq's access to water from neighboring countries. Many countries in the Middle East do not have a stable government aiding them in their struggle for water. With no strong, centralized government, millions of people are not getting the kind of care and support that they need during this environmental crisis. Health effects. With the lack of available fresh water, people turn to drinking waters that have later been found to be contaminated. Since people are drinking contaminated water, disease in the Middle East has increased over the past several years. Diarrhea, chickenpox, measles, typhoid fever, and cholera are currently spreading across Iraq because of the water crisis, according to the British Medical Journal. The BMJ also estimates that 3 out of every 5 children do not have access to safely managed water services. Nonprofit organizations and non-governmental organizations, NGOs. Nonprofit organizations have taken it upon themselves to help the people that rely on the fresh water from the Euphrates River. The Peace Forum NGO was started in 2016 by a couple of young activists. Their mission is to provide water to affected families and advocate for better solutions from local authorities. According to the CSIS, other NGOs have come to the aid of the citizens who have minimal access to water. These NGOs help to monitor the actions of governments and can be key players in pressing governments to act according to human rights principles. In Syria, 15 NGOs have helped by providing retrofitted water stations. 35 have lightly supported water stations. 5 have helped to provide stations for power supply. 10 have helped provide water trucking filling points. 21 have helped with healthcare facilities, and 6 have helped with providing schools, according to the CSIS. Jacob, what would the literal reading look like when realized? Revelation 16:12-14. And the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. Would not literal involve modern Iraq and the Euphrates by it? But the imagery is from the prophetic and visual vantage of Palestine. When we in America or Europe or the UK look east, we see China and the Asian countries. If the locale of the vision is literal, would not the players, the dragon, beast, false prophet, and frog-like devils, also be literal and visible? And how come the kings of the east then morph into the kings of the earth and of the whole world? This view is called premillennial because it teaches that Christ will come again before a 1,000-year reign upon the earth. It is called historic because, according to some, it was the dominant view of the early church, and also because in various forms it has appeared throughout much of church history. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next video.
بنسبة 100% أعلنت مديرية بيئة ميسان في العراق عن دخول هور العودة الشهيد.
صور الأجواء هيك صور الأجواء.
Revelation 9 speaks of 4 angels bound at the Euphrates River, awaiting their release at God's appointed time. For centuries, this was dismissed as symbolic, but now, as the river disappears, strange figures and ruins are being uncovered. Could it be that this prophecy is unfolding before our very eyes? And if so, what happens next? Join us as we dive deep into biblical prophecy, ancient mysteries, and shocking discoveries that could change everything we thought we knew about the end times. The mysterious sounds of the Euphrates. Recently, locals unintentionally uncovered a row of caves at the bottom of the Euphrates River. According to some beliefs, this site is where 4 fallen angels have been imprisoned. The 4 angels of the Euphrates River is a significant event described in the Bible's book of Revelation. This prophecy, specifically mentioned in Revelation 9:14-15, speaks of 4 demonic angels bound near the Euphrates River. At God's appointed time, these angels will be released to execute divine judgment upon the world. Their release marks a catastrophic moment during the tribulation, a 7-year period in which God's final judgments will unfold upon an unbelieving world. Throughout Scripture, the tribulation is closely tied to the day of the Lord, a time when God directly intervenes in human history to fulfill his ultimate plan. This period will bring vengeance, suffering, and devastation. It will be a time of anguish, destruction, and despair. The day will be dark and foreboding, filled with the sound of trumpets and battle cries. The tribulation will unleash divine judgments, cosmic disturbances, natural disasters, and severe plagues. This prophecy unfolds near the Euphrates River, a location of great biblical significance. The river is recognized as the cradle of early civilization and has long symbolized life and its limits. However, in the book of Revelation, its meaning shifts, becoming a crucial symbol in end times prophecy. The vision of this event was revealed to John, the author of Revelation, in a series of apocalyptic images foretelling the end of the world and final judgment. The vision begins with the sounding of the sixth trumpet, marking the approach of a momentous event. The sixth angel sounded his trumpet, and I heard a voice coming from the four horns of the golden altar that is before God. Revelation 9:13. Then comes the command, release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. These four angels, restrained for a specific hour, day, month, and year, will be set loose to bring destruction, leading to the death of 1/3 of humanity. This passage is both compelling and terrifying, depicting a moment where the spiritual realm dramatically collides with the physical world, bringing severe consequences. The prophecy urges deep reflection, reminding us of God's sovereignty, judgment, and ultimate redemption. The account of the four bound angels and their release represents a major turning point in the end times narrative. It demonstrates God's justice and the fulfillment of divine prophecy. As we examine this passage, we are encouraged to look closely at Revelation's warnings, God's judgment, and the broader understanding of human history and destiny. Exploring this prophecy is like embarking on a journey through one of the Bible's most enigmatic and profound sections, challenging us to reconsider our faith, fears, and hopes for the future. Hold on a second. Tap that like button, drop a comment below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. All right, let's keep going. What is the purpose of releasing the fallen angels? The release of these angels brings an immense catastrophe, as they are given the authority to wipe out 1/3 of humanity. But why would God allow such destruction? There is no clear link between these four angels and the four mentioned in Revelation 7:1. They may or may not be the same entities. Regardless of their identity, they are predestined for a specific hour, day, month, and year when this judgment will be unleashed. The phrase "were released" suggests that these are fallen angels. While this is not explicitly stated, the likelihood is high that they are indeed malevolent beings. Even so, they serve a divine purpose. The demonic locusts previously described in Revelation were only able to torment humans, but these four angels are empowered to carry out a catastrophic slaughter. Their awakening occurs only at God's command, and their destructive reach is restricted to a defined portion of humanity. They act in accordance with God's will at the appointed time. The Euphrates River was a significant geographical landmark in ancient Babylon, marking the boundary of the Roman Empire. It is also associated with several pivotal events in biblical history: the first sin, Genesis 2:10-14, the first murder, Genesis 4:16, the first organized rebellion against God, Genesis 11:1-9, the first war coalition, Genesis 14:1, the first tyranny. In Revelation 9:16-19, an army led by these angels is described. The number of the mounted troops was twice 10,000 times 10,000. I heard their number. The horses and riders I saw in my vision had breastplates fiery red, dark blue, and yellow as sulfur. The heads of the horses resembled the heads of lions, and out of their mouths came fire, smoke, and sulfur. 1/3 of mankind was killed by the 3 plagues of fire, smoke, and sulfur that came out of their mouths. These creatures wield destruction with both their mouths and their serpent-like tails. The army of horsemen is said to number 200 million. But is this figure literal or symbolic? It may not be an exact count, but rather an expression of an innumerable force, one greater than anything humanity has ever faced. The depiction of these horsemen is grotesque and nightmarish, forming an incredibly vivid image of terror. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing content. Your thoughts matter, so feel free to share your opinions in the comments. Now, let's dive back in. Could BRICS be the 200 million army? Does this passage describe a human army or a supernatural force? Is it referring to a vast legion of human soldiers, or does it symbolize an invasion of demonic hordes? If this is a natural army, the strange and terrifying description may be John's way of depicting modern mechanized warfare using the language available to him. Given that he was witnessing events far beyond his time, it is possible that what he saw resembled tanks, missiles, or other war machines which he described in the most vivid terms he knew. One interpretation is that the 200 million strong force represents a literal army, possibly a human military coalition. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have been growing in power and cooperation, and some speculate that such an alliance could one day field an army of this size. Could this be the force prophesied in Revelation? However, another perspective suggests that this is not a human army at all, but a demonic invasion. This aligns with the earlier description in Revelation of a locust-like demonic army unleashed upon the earth. If this cavalry is supernatural, it would mean that the earth will face an apocalyptic battle unlike anything in human history, with a force far beyond human comprehension. Despite the destruction they bring, Revelation warns that the survivors will still refuse to repent. The rest of mankind who were not killed by these plagues did not repent of the works of their hands. They did not stop worshiping demons and idols of gold, silver, bronze, stone, and wood. Revelation 9:20. This chilling prophecy suggests that even after witnessing divine judgment, many will continue to reject God, clinging to their false gods and wicked ways. Whether this army is human or supernatural, one thing is certain: it represents a time of unparalleled devastation and divine judgment, serving as a final warning before the end of days. It doesn't stop there. Not only strange sounds were discovered under the Euphrates River, scientists also discovered one more thing. As the investigation deepens, scientists turn to advanced genetic testing to analyze the strange skeletal remains discovered beneath the Euphrates River. What they uncover shakes the foundation of everything we know about human history. The DNA extracted from these ancient bones reveals an unsettling truth. It partially matches certain human populations still alive today. This revelation suggests that the bloodline of the Nephilim, the offspring of fallen angels and human women, as described in Genesis 6:4, may have never truly vanished. But the findings don't stop there. As researchers cross-reference this genetic data with historical records and genealogical studies, an even more alarming theory begins to take shape. Some of the world's most powerful families, those who have held influence across empires, secret societies, and modern global institutions, may share a direct genetic link to these ancient beings. Could it be that fallen angels have not only survived in the shadows but have actively shaped the course of human civilization for thousands of years? The implications of this discovery are staggering. If remnants of Nephilim DNA still exist within certain bloodlines, it could explain the unnatural thirst for power, the insatiable desire to control nations, and the eerie connections between influential figures throughout history. From ancient kings and warlords to modern elites in politics, finance, and media, could there be a hidden force guiding human affairs? A force that traces its origins back to the very angels who defied God? Biblical prophecy warns that in the last days, deception will reach its peak, and an unholy resurgence may occur. Jesus himself said, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." Matthew 24:37. In the days of Noah, the Nephilim roamed the earth, hybrid beings born of fallen angels and human women. Are we witnessing their return? Have they been here all along, steering history from the shadows? Who are the Nephilim? The Nephilim are mysterious beings mentioned in the Bible, often described as giants or hybrid offspring of fallen angels and human women. Their existence is one of the most debated topics in biblical history, theology, and ancient mysteries. The word Nephilim is derived from the Hebrew root NPL, meaning to fall or fallen ones, which has led many to believe they are the offspring of fallen angels who defied God. What does the Bible say about the Nephilim? Genesis 6:1-4, the days of Noah. The first biblical reference to the Nephilim appears in Genesis 6:1-4, describing a time before the Great Flood. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal, Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. This passage suggests that the sons of God, often interpreted as fallen angels, took human wives and produced a hybrid race called the Nephilim. These beings were described as powerful, possibly giant in stature, and notorious in ancient times. Numbers 13:32-33, the giants in Canaan. The Nephilim are mentioned again in Numbers 13:32-33, when Moses sent spies to scout the land of Canaan. And they spread among the Israelites a bad report about the land they had explored. They said, "The land we explored devours those living in it. All the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seem like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we look the same to them." Here the Nephilim are linked to the Anakim, a race of giants in the land of Canaan. This suggests that even after the flood, some form of the Nephilim bloodline continued to exist. Sign of the end time. Many believe that the return of the Nephilim or fallen angelic interference is a sign of the end times. Jesus himself warned in Matthew 24:37, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." This statement suggests that the conditions before the Great Flood, corruption, violence, and possibly the presence of Nephilim, will return in the last days. If the Nephilim were the result of fallen angels corrupting humanity, then some believe this could happen again before Christ's return. Possible signs of the end times related to the Nephilim. Many believe that fallen angels and their influence are becoming more visible in the world. Reports of strange creatures, alien abductions, and unexplained genetic anomalies could be linked to Nephilim-like beings. Manipulation of human DNA. Advances in genetic engineering and transhumanism could be a way for fallen angels to corrupt human DNA again. Some theorists suggest secret societies or world elites may have Nephilim ancestry influencing global decisions. The Euphrates River drying up, Revelation 16:12. The Bible prophesies that the Euphrates River will dry up as part of the end times. Some believe that as the river dries, ancient beings, possibly Nephilim or fallen angels, will be released. A new hybrid race? Could modern Nephilim already be among us? The rise of AI, genetic hybrids, and transhumanism could be a sign of humanity moving towards something unnatural, like in Noah's days. The Great Deception, 2 Thessalonians 2:9-11. The Bible warns that a great deception will come upon the world. If Nephilim or fallen angels return, they could deceive people into thinking they are advanced extraterrestrial beings or enlightened gods. Whether or not Nephilim physically return, the signs of the end times are already unfolding. Humanity is being drawn into deception, genetic manipulation, and spiritual corruption, just as in Noah's day. This is why Jesus urged us to be watchful, prepared, and faithful to God's word. Could we be witnessing the fulfillment of prophecy? Many believe the answer is yes. The Euphrates River, long part of the area known as the Fertile Crescent, is a significant landmark in Scripture and a valuable resource in the Middle East as it runs through Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. Over the past few years, the water level of the Euphrates River has dropped dramatically. The drying up of the Euphrates River has revealed several ancient ruins and a cave. Some people are quick to point to the drying riverbed as a fulfillment of the Bible's end times prophecies. Two passages in the Bible predict the drying up of the Euphrates River. The first prediction is part of a lengthy oracle against Babylon. God pronounces judgment against Babylon's officials and wise men and against its false prophets, warriors, horses and chariots, and treasures. Then God says, "A drought on her waters. They will dry up, for it is a land of idols, idols that will go mad with terror." Jeremiah 50:38. The waters of Babylon are the Euphrates and Tigris rivers. Both rivers are drying up now. Are we witnessing the fulfillment of Jeremiah's prophecy? The second prediction of the Euphrates River drying up comes as part of the 7 bowl judgments in Revelation. The judgments of the 7-year tribulation start with the 7 seals, Revelation 6:1-17, 8:1-5, continue with the 7 trumpets, Revelation 8, 6-9:21, 11:15-19, and end with the 7 bowls, Revelation 16, Odin. The bold judgments come at the end of the tribulation, and they are so destructive that, if they continued, all human life would perish. Mark 13:19-20. The sixth bold judgment, the penultimate judgment of the tribulation, is the drying up of the Euphrates River. Revelation 16:12 says, "The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east." This prophecy not only identifies the judgment, but also gives the reason for it. So a great army from the east can cross the Euphrates unimpeded. Next, the kings of the earth gather to the place that in Hebrew is called